Welcome back, everyone, to Season 2 of Sundown with Alex. I am your host, Alex Reyes Sanchez, and this week we have our guest of the hour, Nicholas Tucci. And today the both of us will be talking about the ongoing Ukraine situation, the soon-to-be newly appointed Supreme Court Justice by President Biden, and then we'll end the show with a little bit of political trivia. Today's podcast will be uploaded to Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and now even Twitch. So, you really have no reason not to, check out the show. But yeah, I don't know if you caught that last one. Twitch, we're live. This is really exciting. I hope everyone who's tuning in right now enjoys the show. Feel free to participate in the chat and talk with other chatters. Remember, keep it respectful and keep it light and fun. Okay, Nicholas, would you like to introduce yourself? Tell the audience a little bit about yourself, where you're going to college for, what your life goals are. Nothing too intensely big picture, but small picture, and also why you wanted to come on to the show today.
Hi, yeah, my name is Nicholas Tucci. I'm actually graduated from my undergrad. I'm alumnus from the University of Arizona journalism program. And I'm currently a second semester 1L at the University of Chicago School of Law, formerly known as John Marshall Law School. And yeah, I'm just really excited to be on here today. I decided to come on because I have a political message that I hope the public could get something out of it. And I'm hoping to one day be a service member in the United States Army as an officer. And I hope to get into DC politics because everything is literally broken right now and we need some serious change.
Now, if you don't mind me asking, any particular seat you're eyeing or just trying to get in general in regards to government?
I'm thinking lobbying, long term.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know how the military works, inside out. I have a good grasp on how finance kind of works in the United States and how capital gains works. But next, my thirst of knowledge wants more practical experience, and I think public service is the best way to do that. And I think the mission statement of the Army is not necessarily to kill people, but it's to help build better communities. And I think it would give me a lot of structure.
Yeah. That's very great. That's very ambitious. And we love to have ambitious people on the show. Thank you again for agreeing to come on. It means a lot to me. So I wanted to transition into the first segment of the show today, the Ukraine situation. So you do think this impacts everyday Americans, that what is going on here with Ukraine?
Yeah, think about it. We have a strong reliance on the European Union for trade. We want our currencies, to be pegged, not necessarily pegged against the euro, but we still want to have competitive currencies in the global market. And the whole idea of the United States military under this pre-existing world order is that the United States operated like the world police, and we wanted to set military bases all over the world. You can agree with it or not agree with it, but I'm hoping that the audience can agree that United States hegemony is pretty tight because you still get guaranteed liberties under the United States Constitution, and hopefully the goal is to get all these cultures to see these great values and understand that democracy is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I full-heartedly agree. But I do have to ask, I know a lot of people are very skeptical if Russia will in fact invade Ukraine. Do you think that's likely? Do you think that's unlikely? Do you think this is all just kind of posturing, as some may say? What do you think the likelihood that Russia will invade Ukraine in the next few months, years? Let's think small picture first, because I know a lot of people don't think it's going to happen, and some people aren't sure.
Do bears poop in the woods?
Yes. So
personally, I'm not in the industry. I'm just a law student and I'm just a 1L. The only frame of reference of knowledge that I have is just books that I read. That's it. The only practical political experience that I have is working with the Young Dems and working with Mission for Arizona to get every Democratic down ballot elected. We don't have the liberty and the auxiliary to be dealing with this any longer. We really need to find a way as a country to unite and push forward a bipartisan progressive agenda. It has to happen or else this nation will fail.
I like that. That's very well put. I think for me, in regards to the Ukraine situation, I know that, like you said, Putin wants to get the USSR back and everything like that. But also, I'm pretty sure he's pretty upset about Ukraine kind of flirting with NATO a bit and getting that more on his eastern front. And I'm sure he's going to do everything in his power to make sure that does not happen.
Yeah, so like Putin's kind of like holding the world hostage right now. Everyone in the world wants to know what the heck is going to happen. Is the whole Russian army really going to take Western Ukraine? Are they really going to go to Kiev, or does Russia have a grandiose objective that they want to complete? My theory is that the Russian economy isn't as good as they say. In fact, I think it's bad. They have a lot of their population that's addicted to heroin and other Schedule I narcotics by United States standards that we haven't even seen yet. Like their labor force is just honestly pretty bad. Looking at it under a qualitative lens, and me talking to my Russian friends and my international friends.
Let me ask this. I guess I'm just curious. Do you think war for them right now is a big risk, going to war possibly, or do you think it would be a bigger gain for them?
Well, you mind if I actually share my screen to the New York Times real quick?
Hey, sure, go ahead. Let me make you.
We can read this article together because I know reading can be really difficult sometimes. Trust me, guys, I am actually a really bad reader. Every old English case that we have to read, I barely understand it. I use Keynote. Helps a lot for any future lawyers out there.
I just gave you the host abilities.
Beautiful.
Oh yeah, I'm probably gonna have to use that, by the way. So maybe you can tell me that afterwards, because I myself, for those who don't know, I'm trying to go to law school, and Nick is currently in a position that I wish to be in, or hope to be in one day.
Hold on, let me get a different one, different screen. Hold up.
And sorry if I'm not fully, if sometimes the questions are repetitive. I just want to make sure I fully understand, the situation that's going on and answer all the questions I have.
You are doing your job perfectly fine. You are a good journalist and keep doing your job.
Thank you.
That's all I got to say. So the headline is, on Ukraine, many Russians have no doubt it's the fault of the U.S. Yeah, I don't know, like, off of the initial headline of this article, it's pretty bad, but we should probably read it. I'm not going to read it out loud, but I'll go at a slower pace. And if you have any questions to input, please ask me.
Okay, feel free.
Yeah.
Again, this is from the Washington Post. Whoever's curious. New York Times. My bad. Yes, New York Times.
Yeah, by Ivan. I can't pronounce that name. I'm not even going to try because I have respect for these journalists. But
yeah.
Yes. It's 20 grand Marvel. America wants to serve this war. Yeah. So like right here, it like appears that. My first assumption from this is that, Russia's doing their pretty good job with their propaganda campaign to paint Ukrainians as genocidal maniacs. I'm not joking. This was an actual story that was pushed out a couple of days ago. And Russia wanted to paint this to justify their own war against Ukraine. Because I'm going to be honest, I don't think Russia has any good standing to go to war.
And Russia did this similarly in 2013, correct? When they took up a piece of Ukraine.
Yeah, 2014.
2014.
Their army to go to Crimea, if I remember correctly. I don't know all this information off the top of my head, but if I remember correctly, I think there was an election for Crimea to be annexed. Let me actually look that up right now because I don't want to give any bad information.
Yeah, I mean, perfectly respectable on your end.
How did Crimea become part of Russia? No. Oh, 6 years ago. No, not 6 years. Okay. Well, I'm sure we could get a link in if you guys are curious about this. But yeah.
Yeah. I do know though that they are ramping up their propaganda again, as you said. So kind of getting in position to go in, and I don't know, reportedly they were sending medical tents over towards the border, on Russia's border to Ukraine. You have more troops going down there. NATO's like, hey, but I what's curious to me, what I keep wondering, I keep seeing in the headlines, and it could just be headlines. Ukraine keeps saying, oh, NATO's overreacting, or the West is overreacting. What makes you think why they're saying that? I guess that doesn't really make sense. What makes you think why Ukraine is okay with saying that? Like, hey, you're overreacting, guys.
Well, if I remember correctly, the leader of Ukraine right now is President Zelensky.
Mm-hmm.
Am I correct on that?
I believe so. I
Yeah.
can double check as well.
Actually, I also think he was a comedian too. I could be wrong. Like, it was a really, really weird election back in 2019.
Current president of Ukraine.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're correct. You are correct.
I'm gonna just double check if he was a comedian or not, because that's kind of funny. Yeah, he was a comedian. You guys got to see this. Literally, the guy that's in charge and trying to, like, in the middle of negotiations between the two most powerful nations on Earth is literally just like the Joker from Batman. He's a comedian.
We're in this very tense situation right now with a comedian of a leader.
We got like a little tyrant in one place. We got someone that's pretty senile. I'd still agree with some of his policy positions, but I'm not the biggest fan of Biden at the moment.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm alone on that. And we got a comedian. The world's in good hands. I'm going to let you know.
Have you? Okay, this is kind of a ridiculous. Since we're on comedian, I don't know if you've seen. Apparently, Vladimir Putin has an Instagram. Have you seen the comments on some of his posts?
No, but don't you think it's crazy that the Taliban also have a Twitter and like a spokesman?
No.
I just think of like the serious people out there, and I think of like the Taliban.
Why they have an actual like media person for their?
Yeah, they have a media correspondent. Like,
we got to make sure our public image is good, guys. Like, I know that's really hard to do, but
well, the question arises like that conservatives like to push all the time. They're like, how come the Taliban get a pass on Twitter, but my president can't? And the question is pretty simple. Like, does the Taliban follow terms and conditions? Yes. Do you still believe in property rights and intellectual property rights? Yes. Then the Taliban can be allowed. That's a hot take, though.
That is a very hot take.
They are terrible people, and no one should listen to them. But I feel like we as a society, if we start to pick and choose which laws we want to enforce and not enforce, we got a serious, serious problem on our hands.
Yeah.
Because that means that there's like a real dilemma of morals in our country.
I just want to kind of, going back to the more ridiculous end, I want to just read you some of these comments since you haven't heard them. And again, these aren't my comments. These are comments of just random people on his Instagram page. Vladdy? Sorry. Come on, Putin. This isn't you. We don't need to fight. Let's use words instead, babe. Putin, daddy, no. No war. Bestie, don't start World War III. Wars were so last season. No, Zaddy, don't. This isn't you. Hey, Daddy Putin. I know you're in a silly, goofy mood, but let's not start World War III. Speaking of Biden, before we go away from the Ukraine topic and Russia, do you have anything else you would like to add to tell the people of the show? I know that everyone usually has just kind of a baseline understanding of what's going on, but I know you really did your homework on this, and I don't want to take away anything that you may have done before we move on.
Yeah, sure. I got a political message for any young person that's in college. Things get better. Be politically active. If you have a qualm against your current power structure, you have the voice to change that. Do that through any type of means, and get your message out there. Because this stuff with Ukraine is really, really serious, and we need to make sure that we have the best, most qualified candidates to get an equitable solution in our community.
I have a bit of an introduction here for this one. 83-year-old Supreme Court Justice Stephen Breyer is set to retire, opening the door for a new Supreme Court justice. Reportedly, Breyer plans to... Is it Breyer or Breyer, by the way? I don't want to...
I actually don't know. I'm going to take a guess and go for Breyer, but like...
Okay.
If any of my law professors are listening to this, like...
Are they going to be pretty disappointed in you?
Yeah. Professor Logan, I'm very, very, very sorry.
We'll go with Breyer. Okay, we'll go with Breyer.
Okay.
Breyer plans to stay in his position until a replacement is found for him, but who will that replacement be? Many are ready to see some more diversity when it comes to the Supreme Court, and it's reportedly, so is Joe Biden as well. Many frontrunners are African-American women. He said that he wants to put an African-American woman in the Supreme Court. What are your thoughts on that? Nick?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea, and I think he has his constitutional authority to do so. I think anyone that tries to say otherwise is a hypocrite, because Donald Trump got Brett Kavanaugh on trial, literally on Senate trial, to get him confirmed, and you know the story. He's kind of like a bad dude.
Yeah.
Wasn't he? Isn't he believed allegedly to be a rapist, if I'm correct?
Yes, according to reports. And again, this is all reportedly. I believe so, right? I don't want to speak out of like
I don't want to speak out of turn, but I'm asking that question because I'm actually kind of curious.
Yeah, we can go ahead and look that up. I guess, yeah, there was a hearing that he did apparently have some sexual misconduct. I think on the Democrat side, they were a little disappointed the FBI didn't do a full on look into it. So I'm not sure what the takeaways were from that.
Okay, so let's put that aside and let's talk about the role of what a Supreme Court justice ought to be.
Mm-hmm.
What did the framers of our Constitution have in mind when they were creating it? Well, there's 3 articles. You got Article 1, which is meant for the legislative branch. You got Article 2, which is meant for the executive branch. And you got Article 3, which is about the judicial branch. Now, when it comes to the judicial branch, barely anything was written in the Constitution that granted authority to do judicial review. That happened after Marbury versus Madison. But before we get into that, there has been much discrepancy on what the United States ought to be from the very, very conception of the Declaration of Independence. You see, there's 13 different colonies, and they all had different economies, and they needed to unite against the common evil, which was the tyrannical government of the United Kingdom. The British Empire wanted to tax people without representation, and that sparked one of the worst wars that America has ever fought on our homeland. Following that, we had the Articles of Confederation, which power was vested within the people, but there was no central government to efficiently allocate any resources in an effective manner. So, what was the solution? Well, you got James Madison, you got Alexander Hamilton, and you got another couple really, really cool homies that were the founding fathers that drafted the current model of the United States Constitution. If we go into theory a little bit more, this is kind of my own thoughts. I have no data or no literature to cite this, so this is completely off the whim. So if I'm stealing anyone's thought, I'm sorry, it's not mine. And if no one else thought about this, then heck off, this is my idea. And here it is. If you ever read Plato's Republic, it was a series of letters between him corresponding with another Greek philosopher. I want to say it's Socrates, but I'm actually not sure if it was Socrates or Aristotle. And in Republic, Plato outlines an archetype for styles of governance. And he typically says a society starts in an aristocracy where power is vested within a king that is ethical and virtue in nature. You see, Plato didn't believe that power should have been vested within the people. He thought people are not too intelligent and they are too ignorant to make good policy solutions. And we could apply this into the United States today. For instance, I'm going to ask you a question right now, and you should probably give me an honest answer because you're a journalist and you're an ethical person, I'm assuming.
Yeah,
So
I would say so.
Would you trust yourself to vote on the Fed interest rate?
No, I would not.
Why?
Because I don't feel like I have all the knowledge and the ability to do that, and I feel like that's something that's kind of out of my expertise, I guess you could say, in an honest response.
Yeah, so what would be the consequences, do you think, of you if your voice actually impacted the Fed Reserve and it went not into a favorable way?
I don't think the consequences necessarily they would. But I think they would impact me. But I don't know if I would see any of the consequences right away. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm wrong on that. But you tell me, what would the consequences be? Maybe there's something I'm not seeing here.
This is how new money enters the United States economy. There's a Fed fund rate, which talks from banks talking to other banks for liquidity issues. Mm-hmm. And then there's the central bank that gives money to banks if they can't get any other money from other banks. And when the Fed interest rate when the Fed Reserve sets the discover rate at, arbitrarily 0.25%, then all the other banks, in order for them to make profit, they got to set their commercial loans or any other type of investment out to any lenders higher than that interest rate. Mm-hmm. So when the Fed interest is really super, super low, more people are going to be taking out loans, and there's going to be more businesses popping up, more real estate. and more inflation occurs because more people are spending money into the economy.
Mm-hmm.
When things get kind of haywire, the Fed has this tool to raise the Fed interest rate to slow down the velocity of transactions within a given economy. Hopefully, that would deflate the dollar.
So I would see benefits from that then, if the dollar were deflated, correct?
Yeah, but there's another problem that comes with that. So you see, there needs to be some type of healthy inflation within the U.S. economy,
Mm-hmm.
because if there's a loss of production, then there's a loss of capital and gets itself into a deflationary doom vortex. I think that's the academic term for it.
Deflationary doom vortex.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard that before.
All right, so essentially it goes like this. My money used to be valueless, and now it's valued a lot more. I have an X amount of dollars in my bank, and I could only have an X amount of purchasing power at a company.
Mm.
If they used to have it at a much higher price and the price goes down, that just means I don't have that much money in my bank, and they don't have that much production to spare.
Mm.
So the cycle continues until there's a little X amount of commodities in an aggregate basket, and there's people that have little capital to pay for it. Plus dollar deflates.
Yeah. Okay. So going full circle here, this Supreme Court justice, newly appointee.
Got it.
Yes. How does this all?
I can go off on tangents.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's okay. I honestly, you're very insightful and you have a lot of knowledge on this, so it's very nice to hear this from you. And I'm also learning a lot, and I'm sure the audience is as well. So let's bring this full circle, though. What does this all mean?
Okay. Yeah, what this all means is that you need to trust people to have. Plato believed that you need to have some sort of arbiter that's ethical in nature to come to good legal conclusions.
Mm-hmm.
What we're learning in constitutional law right now is that the Supreme Court and federal courts get to choose what cases that you get to bring forward. Now, you might be thinking, oh, that's pretty messed up. It's actually not. It actually makes a lot of sense. There's three competing theories. You got one where a case is too early to be tried and wouldn't have that much of an impact on society, called ripeness. Then you got another type of case which is called mootness, and a court will reject that if it doesn't legally make any sense because it's too late to process that case. And then finally, you got a case, moot, ripeness, and then you have to have legal standing in order to try that case. And what basically that means is, actually, I'm going to share my screen again and give you guys a free con law lesson, because this is my favorite subject of all time. You want your country to be represented in demographics when it comes to these type of legal decisions, because these are lifetime assignments. They're not term. Once you're in these type of positions, you're in there for life. And it's up to you if you want the job or not. So my thing is, if one of the most underrepresented demographics of America never had a voice, or truly never had a voice in power, let this be the first time to make sure that no other atrocities happen to that demographic ever again.
I like that.
It starts with having a more diverse Supreme Court. And if anyone wants to disagree with me, I will debate this to the end. My Twitter I won't put my Twitter handle, but my Instagram handle is all lowercase. NICKTUCCI @21. DM me. Let's debate.
I would love to see that debate if it were to happen, because you have a very good point. I don't think a lot of people are seeing this, especially the ones I see that are saying, hey, like, we shouldn't be hiring off of race, and we should be hiring off of whoever the best candidate is. And honestly, that's just kind of a racist approach to it, because if you think about it, the African American women are very underrepresented in America currently and historically, and to give them a Supreme Court justice, not them but us, a Supreme Court justice, and give them representation, that would mean a whole lot. And I don't see how people could argue against that.
Well, I mean, like, if people want to argue against that, then I think they have to question their own motives and their own intentions with voting. I would hope that they would come to a conclusion where they don't have to put race as the most fortitude thing when deciding the Supreme Court. When trying to decide a Supreme Court justice. Now, I know that might sound hypocritical because race is the most important factor that I'm playing now, but I think my reasoning is a lot better than any other conservative or any other opponent.
Okay, so, Nick, thank you. Is there anything else you want to add before we moved on from that segment?
No, that should be it.
Okay. Are you ready for some political trivia?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. For those who are curious, I got this trivia from usefultrivia.com. If you wanted to go get some trivia yourself, go ahead and go there. But we are using it for this segment of the show today. Nick, I am going to start you off with one that I actually didn't know. You may know, but let's go ahead and try. All right. Nick, what political activist organized the famous, quote, March of the Mill Children, end quote, from Philadelphia to President Theodore Roosevelt's summer home in 1903?
Oh God, was it a feminist by any chance? Susan B. Anthony? No? I don't know.
Do you want me to give you the choices here?
Yeah, give me choices.
Okay, before, let me just, if you get 10 of these right, Nick, we'll give you a medal. I don't know, an award of some sorts. I'll send Miles to send you some award from the Sundown with Alex podcast.
Tell him to give me a Diet Coke. I already accept Diet Coke.
Question A, Nick. Elizabeth Gurley Flynn. B, Emma Goldman. C, Helen Keller. Or D, Mary Harris Jones.
I'm going to go with D.
D, okay. You are correct. In 1903, wow. Mary Harris Jones organized the famous March of the Mill Children to demand an end of child labor.
Wow.
Look at you. Nick is 1 of 1. All right, number 2. What new economic program did China's Mao Zedong announce in 1958? 1. The Workers' Awakening. 2. The Great Leap Forward. 3. The Enlightened Transformation. Or 4. Trickle-down economics.
Well, it's not trickle-down economics. I'm going to be really honest.
You sure about that one?
I don't know. Was President Mao a big fan of the classical liberal policies? I don't know.
No, I'm pretty sure no.
Yeah, I would have to go with no on that. What were the other 3 options?
Okay, so we've got it down to 3. 1, The Workers' Awakening. 2, The Great Leap Forward. Or 3, The Enlightened Transformation.
I'm gonna go with B.
Okay, sorry, coming out of left field right here with some international politics. Let's see if you were correct.
I know there's a lot of collectivization from farmers to push Mao's version of communism, but I just forgot what it was called. I'm pretty sure it's B.
You are correct. Wow. Okay, so in 1958, Mao Zedong, chairman of the Central Government Council of the newly established People's Republic of China, announced a new economic program aimed at quickly increasing industrial and agricultural production and revitalizing all sectors of the ailing Chinese economy, known as the Great Leap Forward. Dude, 2 of 2. All right. What political theorist wrote, quote, freedom of the press, freedom of association, the inviolability of domicile, and all the rest of the rights of man are respected so long as no one tries to use them against the privileged class. One day...
Thomas Jefferson or John Locke? Or I know it's an American, either an old English philosopher or an American philosopher. Can you give me the options, please?
Yeah. A, Karl Marx. B,
No.
Peter Kripke. Okay, I'm just going to say Peter K. Malcolm X or Ralph Nader.
Ralph Nader. I'm going to go with Malcolm X.
Malcolm X? You are incorrect.
I got this wrong.
You are incorrect, yeah. It was, it doesn't tell me who it was. That's disappointing. No, that's incorrect too. Okay, it was Peter, it's Kropotkin.
Well, you win some, you lose some.
Yeah, he was one of Russia's foremost political thinkers and an advocate of what he called anarchist communism. Didn't find the year, but you are 2 of 3, so you're still. If you get, did I say 8 out of 10? Correct? Or
I thought you said 10 out of 10.
Oh wow, I said 10 out of 10. That's a high bar to set. I'm gonna put it as a 7 out of 10. All right, we'll be fair. 70%. Okay, who ran for president of the United States with the campaign slogan, quote, a chicken in every pot and a car in every garage, end quote?
Options, please.
A, William McKinley. B, Woodrow Wilson. C, Herbert Hoover. Or D, Calvin Coolidge.
They could have all said it. I'm going to go with B.
You're going to go with B? Nope, incorrect. It actually gives you 2 tries.
All right, I'm going to go C.
C. You are correct. I don't think I'm going to give you points on that one, but In 1928, Herbert Hoover ran for president of the United States with the campaign slogan, "A chicken in every pot and a car in every garage." Hoover carried 58.2% of the vote.
Interesting fact, the reason why he probably said that is the Roaring '20s was a massive economic expansion in the United States. We really started to explore the idea of personal credit during this time.
Yeah.
So you had people financing refrigerators and crap like that. It was actually quite disgusting. People borrowed way too much.
And it led inevitably to a crash.
Bingo.
5. Okay, so you are 3 of 4. Number 5. According to a 2001 poll, who was the most popular politician in Serbia?
Oh, in Serbia?
Yeah. A.
I don't know.
You know what? Hey, I'm gonna do you a favor. I'm gonna skip this one because I don't even know how I would know this one. We'll just skip. We'll give you points on that one. All right.
All right.
So you are 4 out of 5. In 2003, as a part of a Republican protest against France's opposition to the war on Iraq, what item was renamed in the U.S. House of Representatives cafeteria? Was it A, French fries, B, French toast, C, both of them were renamed, or D, nothing was renamed?
Nothing.
Nothing? You're incorrect.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it C?
I know this one, actually.
Well, I know French fries isn't actually from France, right?
You're correct, but I remember they were called freedom fries for a little bit. And actually, we are both correct. No, you were correct. It was C. In 2003, as a part of Republican protests against France's opposition to the war on Iraq, both French fries and French toast were officially renamed Freedom Fries and Freedom Toast.
Wow, that's actually incredible. Okay.
Yeah, it is. Okay, so you are, correct me if I'm wrong, you are 5 of 6.
4
5
of 6.
5 of 6, aren't you?
5 of 6?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Take it. Audience,
7.
keep me honest.
Yeah, 7. Oh, by the way, those in the chat, go ahead and feel free to give your responses to this as well before I answer them. But number 7, what U.S. president refused to use the telephone while in office? Was it A, Herbert Hoover, B, Richard Nixon, C, Calvin Coolidge? Richard Nixon?
It had to be. Come on.
You're incorrect.
That would make so much sense.
It would make sense. Or was it D, Warren Harding? You're going to go with D? Incorrect. So you have Herbert Hoover or Calvin Coolidge?
B for D's nuts. I got played. Herbert Hoover?
Herbert Hoover. Incorrect.
Wow.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it was Calvin Coolidge. Refused to use the telephone while he was president. A man of few words, he once said, "If you don't say anything, you won't be called on it to repeat it." So if you don't say anything, you won't be called to repeat it.
That's correct. And if you're in a law school setting, don't be me. Do not volunteer. You will be called on to recite.
You get called on?
Did not read.
You get called on pretty frequently? Oh, I wanted to ask you about that before we continue. I've heard that getting called on in law school is pretty common, and it's pretty out of the blue. Like,
yeah, just make sure you do your homework. You don't want to be that guy.
You're that guy? Not a good feeling?
First semester, I thought I was so smart. Compared to all these other students, I'm in middle of the pack.
I would assume that there's going to be a lot of smart people considering law schools handpick their candidates.
Yep.
Yeah. So, okay. Number 8. What country held its first democratic elections on January 30th, 2005? Was it Serbia, B, Iraq, C, Afghanistan, or D, Tunisia? Iraq. Let's see. You are correct. On January 30th, 2005, Iraq held its first democratic elections. Yeah. I did not know that.
Interesting fact, guys. We got him. Ladies and gentlemen, we got Saddam Hussein. He has been captured. What happens when there's a power vacuum? Well, you got to build governments.
Yeah. Number 9. What German political leader was known as the, quote, Iron Chancellor? Was it
the first Kaiser?
I
don't know the
think
first Kaiser's name, but
was it A, Hermann Mueller, B, Adolf Hitler, C, Otto von Bismarck, or Autobahn?
Yeah.
Otto von. You are correct. As Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Persia, Otto von managed to unite Germany through a series of short and successful wars. Yep. I believe you are on track. You're 6. Do you have 6 or 7 already?
7.
You have 7. Okay. So you already got you already got the award, Nick. Do you want to take the extra question still?
Yeah, shoot.
All right, sweet. 10. What U.S. president won the Nobel Peace Prize for his role as a peacemaker in the Russo-Japanese War? Was it A, Grover Cleveland, B, Franklin D. Roosevelt, C, Jimmy Carter, or D, Theodore Roosevelt?
So the Japo-Russo War happened in the early 20th century. Can you give me the options one more time?
Yeah, A, Grover Cleveland, B, Franklin D. Roosevelt, C, Jimmy Carter, or D, Theodore Roosevelt?
Option A.
Option A, you were incorrect. Any other? Theodore? You are correct. Yep. During the Russo-Japanese War, U.S. President Theodore Roosevelt offered to serve as a mediator. He summoned the representatives of the warring countries to Portsmouth, New Hampshire in the summer of 1905. All right, Nick. Thank you for coming on today. I really hope you enjoyed. I had a lot of fun with you today.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun too. This is awesome.
I wanted to ask you, any final parting words before you go?
Read and vote. Please, dear God, we need you. That's all.
That's all. All right. Thank you, Nick. It really meant a lot. You have a great rest of your weekend.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you.
You too.